Bill Thompson, just recording a clip for Outside Insiders. I wanted to congratulate you on your recent article referring to Kevin Rudd's emergency dash to Russia to try and sort out the Crimea situation. Can you give us an update on anything else you've learnt about Kevin's success or otherwise?
Oh, well, I don't think that story is some weeks old,
okay.
Obviously, Bill, and it predates the MH17 disaster. But I have no information on the current whereabouts of Kevin Rudd. I do note, however, that he has spent considerable money he had spent considerable money in the weeks he was Prime Minister and before he was voted out, but he's a man of great mystery, obviously, and I'm sure that we'll see him popping up in lots of far-flung places.
On the subjects that were covered by the panel this morning, obviously Gaza is a big issue. As a follower of news on the internet, I'm fully aware of what's been going on in Gaza. I'm also aware of what's been going on in Syria and Iraq. And apparently there's been 150,000 civilians killed in Syria over the last couple of years. And we don't seem to get 24-hour-a-day wall-to-wall coverage of what's going on there. Do you think it's because what happens between the Sunnis and the Shia, hacking heads off and the like, doesn't fit the narrative that the big problem in the Middle East is the Israelis?
Look, I think that news is always about proximity, and proximity when you have many Australians killed is an obvious quantity and quality of news, and because of the fact that so many Australian residents and citizens died in MH17, there's been great focus on that. I do think that there has been some focus on what's going on in Iraq and Syria in the news, and while there are criticisms that perhaps it's not as in-depth as some people would like, I'm sure it's available out there for Australians, and I know that the West Australian, we've covered the goings-on in Syria. Perhaps not to your satisfaction, but it is out there to be found.
Very finally, there has been talk of Jackie Lambie's contribution to politics recently. I was going to ask, Tory had an article a bit critical of Jackie's approach to things. I was going to ask her, but she had to get in the cab. Angus Houston was referred to this morning. I remember when Julia Gillard described how attractive she found him. Do you think that Jackie Lambie ought to send Angus a checklist to see whether he ticks any boxes for her?
Yeah, I think that Jackie Lambie will be very careful about what she does say about anyone's private parts from now on. But look, on that, I think that there's been discussion about whether she's sexist and has been involved in sexism. But I think that any word that ends in ISM is really about power structures. And that means that there is an imbalance. And with sexism there is an imbalance. There's no doubt that women have been more sexualised than men over the decades, the centuries and so on. Now, given that's the case, what she says is probably much less, well, I would say much less offensive than a bloke's commenting about some woman's memories.
Parts, yes.
And so I don't think if people are offended by what Jackie Lambie said, then it's probably because they want to be offended.
Look, I didn't take any particular offence. I was just concerned at the outrage and hoo-ha over Tony Abbott winking compared to this sort of thing where everyone just shrugs their shoulders and says, so what?
The Prime Minister is always going to be under much greater scrutiny, and it was one of those moments I'm sure he would have regretted.
Andrew, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Pleasure, Bill.
Very much appreciated.